Have you ever wondered what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? That's exactly what we're in for when the iron-willed veteran Max Holloway faces the ferocious knockout artist in Ilia Topuria for the UFC featherweight title at UFC 308.
Like I said, we got questions. We got questions, you know. We're in the fighting game. Ilia can talk, but I got a lot of questions. You know, I like listening, and if that ever gets booked, you guys gonna see a lot of answers. So I'm excited for it.
It's a collision of speed, power, and pure skill. So without further ado, let's find out who has the advantage in this clash of absolute titans. From winning the belt following a hot 10-fight winning streak to defending his title multiple times, Max Holloway's Blessed Express was running on high stream when it was derailed by Alexander Volkanovski in 2019. Since then, Holloway has beaten everyone not named Volkanovski, who has beaten the UFC champion 3 times, most recently at UFC 276 in the summer of 2022. Before his third loss to Alex Volkanovski, Holloway was like a raging storm, constantly moving forward and blasting his foes like a punching machine. But that aggressive style came at a cost, making him highly vulnerable and easy to hit. Since UFC 276, however, we've seen a transformation in Holloway's approach. He's won 3 fights in a row, displaying a dimension to his game that was never there before. Instead of his old, straight-line pressure, he now circles more and measures distance with surgical precision. Rather than overwhelming people with endless combinations, the Hawaiian picks his moments, teeing off with 2 or 3 well-placed punches, then swiftly exiting the danger zone before his opponent even has a chance to retaliate. In his last 3 bouts, Holloway's mastery of in-and-out movement has been on full display. He's baiting his opponents and making them charge recklessly, leaving openings for him to counter with precision strikes. That's exactly how he picked apart Arnold Allen, forcing him forward, then capitalizing on the holes in his guard. Holloway's movement has been so frustrating for his opponents that they're throwing wild shots out of desperation, hoping to land a knockout blow, but even then, Max comes out on top. That's exactly how he knocked out the Korean Zombie with a devastating right hand, and he melted Justin Gaethje with a wildly calculated haymaker to the chin. Back when he held the title, Holloway's attacks were more straightforward, but now he mixes in overhands and looping punches, adding even more venom to his strikes, and to keep things unpredictable, he started sprinkling in kicks, which adds a whole new layer to his game. In his most recent fight, he shattered Justin Gaethje's nose with a spinning back kick in the first round, and from that point on, it was pure domination. If that doesn't get Topuria's alarm bells ringing, then he's in for a seriously rude awakening, because someone like Topuria, who is shorter and stockier, could be especially vulnerable to Max's kicking game. He may also have a hard time managing distance, either to land that nasty overhand right or go for a takedown, the latter being the tougher job since Holloway's takedown defense, like his chin, is out of this world. However, Topuria isn't Allen or TKZ or Gaethje with all due respect. Early in his career, Ilia Topuria was primarily known as a grappler who took opponents down and submitted them. In fact, his first 7 wins came via submission. But just as people were starting to label him as a one-dimensional fighter, he unleashed a brutal overhand right, knocking out Stephen Gonzalez in his 8th professional bout and shattering that illusion. From that moment on, Topuria began expanding his striking arsenal. Topuria has always been a high-pressure, forward-pressing fighter, but after his UFC debut, where he delivered a grappling clinic against Youssef Zalal, he realized that wasn't enough by his standards. In his very next fight, he focused heavily on boxing, showing off his winging punches and immense power by dismantling Damon Jackson, who seemed almost twice his size on fight night. Topuria's next win came against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace Ryan Hall, against whom Topuria smartly avoided the grappling exchanges and waited patiently for the right moment to pounce, knocking Hall out. This showcased a more measured approach for the usually aggressive Topuria. In his following fight, he moved up a weight class to take on Jai Herbert at UFC London, where he survived a near finish after being rocked by a head kick resorting to his wrestling to survive the round. But in round 2, Topuria steadily raised the intensity and delivered one of the most brutal knockouts in featherweight history. In his next 2 fights, Topuria faced high-level competition, choking out Bryce Mitchell and dominating veteran Josh Emmett. Against Emmett in particular, Topuria displayed his world-class boxing skills. His jabs, combos, and lightning-fast in-and-out movement were too much for the American to handle. When Topuria finally got his shot at the featherweight title against Alex Volkanovski, he showed incredible patience in round 1, respectfully stunning his opponent's kicking-heavy game plan. Once he realized Volk posed no significant danger, Topuria ramped up the pressure, cutting off the cage and landing power punches that eventually melted the Aussie to become the king of the 145-pound jungle. Topuria's ability to knock opponents out with a single punch is a rare talent, especially in the featherweight division. But what sets him apart is that he's not just a power puncher. He brings a full package of fight IQ, speed, technical precision, and Greco-Roman wrestling to the table, making him a truly complete fighter. Now, does he have what it takes to beat one of the most dangerous men on the planet in Max Holloway? Given Topuria's style and Max's height and reach advantage, Topuria will have no choice but to charge in and drop his guard to land shots on Holloway or attempt takedowns. He'll need to work overtime to manage distance, especially since Holloway will make things difficult for the Georgian fighter. Topuria has been here before. Just look at his lightweight bout against the tall and rangy Jai Herbert. He was in serious trouble after getting rocked by a head kick, and the same risk looms large against Holloway, who's known for mixing up his attacks. With Holloway's height, reach, and methodical pace, Topuria will be dealing with a similar but more dangerous threat. Holloway's ability to unleash a high volume of strikes from different angles once he finds his rhythm could be a nightmare to handle. However, Holloway is unlikely to overwhelm Topuria with a barrage of strikes unless the Spaniard somehow offers little resistance, which is highly improbable. Topuria's boxing is crisp and dangerous. It's fast, technical, and packing heavy power, so he'll undoubtedly give Holloway problems in the early rounds. But once Holloway settles into his range and gets comfortable, Topuria may find himself struggling to keep up. El Matador's bread and butter is cutting off the cage and landing that signature overhand right, which has demolished opponents in the past. He's done it against Stephen Gonsalves in Brave, Damon Jackson, Jai Herbert, and most recently, Alex Volkanovski at UFC 298 to claim the featherweight crown. But Holloway is too smart to let his back hit the cage. His ability to circle out and catch opponents with counters is an underrated aspect of his game. While most fans know him for his willingness to stand and trade in the pocket, a closer look at his recent fights shows how Holloway has evolved, using his elite footwork to craft a safer path to victory. If you take away Topuria's ability to cut off the cage, his knockout chances dwindle. He hasn't landed a KO in the middle of the cage yet, and he's not particularly known for throwing heavy kicks. In open space, his strength lies in his jab and slick hooks, but without that cage pressure, his signature knockout power fades. It's doubtful that Topuria will be able to corner Holloway and land that crushing overhand. Holloway's slick movement, as seen in his recent fights, is too refined for that. This leaves Topuria with two difficult options: either outstrike Holloway in the middle of the cage or outgrapple him. Both scenarios seem like uphill battles. Holloway is a master at controlling the center, and he's able to attack and counter with ease. His long frame gives him the range advantage and allows him to manipulate the fight in open space. Even if Topuria does manage to land a clean shot, Holloway's chin is arguably one of the toughest in the game. The blessed one can absorb serious damage and keep coming forward. Moreover, Topuria tends to hold back his power shots until he's confident they'll finish the fight. Against Holloway, that moment might never come. And with Holloway's elite takedown defense, Topuria will have a hard time getting the fight to the mat, forcing him to dig deep to find any holes in Max's game. Make no mistake, Topuria will have his moments. He's a dangerous fighter, but I expect Holloway to make this fight look relatively easy. It might even unfold similarly to Holloway's most recent performance against Justin Gaethje. So, That's how I see the fight playing out. Who do you guys think will win? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.